好，再一次欢迎所有观众朋友收看今天的节目。在今天节目当中，我们依旧为大家邀请到是 CCDC 华协中心的这个行政总监 Malcolm Yeung 来到我们节目当中，再一次欢迎他。Hello, Malcolm. Thank you again for joining us. Yeah. So let's talk about the data and the number. So do you have any data or number of the CCDC case which related to like a hate or the public safety?
Sure. Knowing that these issues with Chinese victims were really challenging, we decided to get together and start talking with some of the other nonprofit organizations in the community who we knew would care. That included Chinese for Affirmative Action, Chinese Progressive Association, and Community Youth Center. And coming out of those conversations in about 2019, we decided, it's time to form a coalition so we can address this together. And so we formed a coalition called the Coalition for Community Safety and Justice, or CCSJ.
CCSJ.
And one of the big issues that we wanted to tackle was, how do we create an infrastructure for victim services? Knowing how much time, effort, energy, resource it takes, and that it would be really challenging for one organization to do it on their own. And that we needed a whole community to come together around this. So in our coalition, the organization that stepped up and took the lead was Community Youth Center, or CYC. And they have really been doing, and I would say in many ways, bottom lining the work that we've been doing around victim services and victim advocacy to make sure they get the right services. So as we kind of got this program going, in 2022, whenever things were really starting to kind of roll, we found that the demand, or CYC found that the demand was overwhelming. In just that first year, they represented 77 victims and provided services for 77 victims.
So besides the CYC, did CCDC collaborate with a government department?
I think the thing that I want to really call out for Chinatown CDC too is that this is not a funded program. This is just something we know that's necessary, but we really believe very deeply in building a relationship with police, and that we know that policing won't solve this problem alone, but the community can't solve this problem without police either. And so I always joke, a good friend of ours, Assistant Chief David Lazar, always says, it's not just about the cops, it's not just about the community, it's about community and cops working together. And so we've spent a lot of time and effort trying to build that relationship with SFPD, particularly the folks in Central Station. Around 2015-16, the residents of the Pings advocated actually for more policing in Chinatown and in the Pings, and that led to the launch of a housing officer program in which we have 4 to 8 embedded officers in the Pingyun. And the thing about that program that I love is that they're not just there to enforce the law. They're not going around carrying guns and intimidating people. They're actually trying to be a part of the community. They come to events. They talk to children. And I will just say this, because those officers really made an effort to be a part of the community and show that they cared about the community, I think some very interesting things happened. One was, a lot of those barriers between cops and community started breaking down. And that means that people were a little bit more willing to report crimes, which is always a problem in the Chinese community, right? People are scared.
You just mentioned about people scared. So let me think about the many people in our community, especially the seniors. They try to keep silent when something bad happened, right? And they believe the reporting won't change anything. So what kind of message you want to deliver to them?
So, we live in a world right now where data is such a big part of how our government agencies make decisions. And for police, a big part of how they make decisions is to look at the number of reports and in what community. If we as a community don't report crimes, then the data is going to show that crimes aren't happening there. And the police, as a result, are going to say, well, we don't need to send more officers to Chinatown. We don't need to send more officers out to Irving Street or Taraval or Noriega or Richmond. And so I just want to urge everybody in the community, even if you don't think the cops are going to do anything, and they will, I think they're committed to, but even if you believe that, it's still important to report because you need to have that data point there to show government that our communities are having incidents. They deserve resources and they deserve policing assignments there. One key piece of data, just so you know, that led to the implementation of the housing officer program and the pings was that the cops internally were looking at the number of incidents reported at the various public housing buildings throughout the city. And in talking to some of the police, what we discovered was that the pings actually had the highest number of reported incidents of any family public housing building in the city and county of San Francisco. And because people were reporting in the pings, we actually were able to move the needle to get that resource and those housing officers. So data is important, reporting is important. If we don't report it, then no one knows it happened. If no one knows it happened, they're not going to respond to it from a government level.
Yeah, no matter what, report first.
Really important.
Yeah, very important. Thank you for bringing up all this information. I believe our audience got a lot of information. Yeah, let's take a break from here. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
好，非常谢谢观众朋友收看。